I have always been a huge fan of shaming. Michael McLean, Badass Brotherhood.com, horsepower, not horse shit. I have always been a personal fan of shaming. And in 2022, this is a very horrifying and offensive concept to the wimps and the snowflakes, the cupcake crowd and the tomato cans who simply refuse to hold a mirror up to anybody's bad behavior. I've been in the change business, I've been in the coaching business, I've been in the pro sport business, I have been in the amateur sport business, and I have been in the entrepreneurial business for 31 consecutive years. So I have worked with thousands of athletes, thousands of businessmen, businesswomen, children, teenagers, young adults. Thousands and thousands. I even worked for a short time in the correctional system. When I was in university, I had a part-time job along with my coaching. I worked in the group homes. I worked in youth criminal services, the youth detention centers. So I've seen a lot in my 31 years of entrepreneurial adventure, and I've seen a lot in my 22 years of coaching amateur and pro athletes. And it comes down to one thing for me that is most effective. And this is my personal experience. This is my experience working with thousands and thousands and thousands of people from all walks of life. There is nothing more powerful for personal positive change than holding up a mirror to a person's situation, to their life, and showing them and having them see, having them feel, and having them understand at a core level, in their gut, intellectually, in their mind, in their brain, intellectually, in their gut, the consequences of their actions and behaviors. The consequences of their actions and behaviors. This is called personal shaming now. It's been removed from all areas in our society. If somebody has a negative, destructive behavior, let's say they're using drugs, they're drinking too much, they're eating themselves to death, they're drinking themselves to death, they're abusive to their spouse, they're abusive to their children, they're texting and driving, drinking and driving, whatever the negative behavior is, we simply now refuse to hold a mirror up to that person's behavior, and therefore there's no chance for that person to make a behavioral change. There's almost no chance for that person to see the consequences of their actions on others around them so that they can make positive change in their life. I have a friend who works in addictions at the street level. In other words, for the last 35 years, he works on the street with homeless people, people that are severely addicted to drugs, alcohol, all kinds of mental health issues. He works with the homeless that have been on the streets for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And he sees the consequences of the decisions that have been made by these particular people. And he calls them clients. And he works with thousands of them, mostly men, on the streets every single year. And I always ask him, I love to sit down and talk business with him because I'm interested in his theories, I'm interested in his strategies, his tactics. How do you help these people that are so far gone? How do you help men and women that are living on the street, that are chemically addicted, separated from their families, suffering from mental health issues? How do you help these men and women? And he talks about the difference between the political correctness that is forced upon him now in this job where it becomes feel good. It's, I focus on the positives. I'm supposed to focus on the positives. This, that, basically psychological pleasure. There's pain and pleasure. We do things for one of two reasons. That's Tony Robbins 101. We do everything in our life for one of two reasons. For pleasure or for pain. But here's the thing, men. Pain is by far the greater motivator. You will do a lot more, 10 times, 25x, 250x, to avoid pain than you will ever be motivated or inspired to gain pleasure. It's just the way it is. You will do a lot more not to put your hand on that hot stove that's going to burn your fingers than you would for something pleasurable like, well, you can eat a cookie or a piece of pie after. Pain is the ultimate motivator, inspirational behavior changer. Call it shaming, call it holding up a mirror to somebody. But in my experience, dealing with hockey players, dealing with entrepreneurs, dealing with youth, troubled youth, is all of my successes. Any successes I've had in changing behavior that needed to be changed, it was all done through shaming and holding up a real life mirror to that person and having them visualize the consequences, the carnage, the future carnage in their life because of the decisions they're making every single day. If you continue to drink alcohol at this level, here are the consequences. Here are the consequences on your personal health. Here's the consequences on your marriage. This is how it will affect your children. This is how it will affect eventually your grandchildren. If you continue to gamble and spend money and feed this addiction of gambling, these are the consequences on your wife, on your children, on your grandchildren, on your mental health, on your finances. It just goes on and on and on. Cliffy, come on, pal. Come on, buddy. They just cut this field of hay. What a gorgeous field. So he is loving that. So not shaming ever in a angry or hateful way. I'm talking about shaming in a behavioral change kind of way. And I have experience with this with my hockey players. I wasn't afraid to talk to one of my 18 or 19 or 20-year-old players and say, if you continue on with this behavior, if you continue on to choose this lifestyle, well, I can hold a mirror up to your life and show you exactly what your life is going to look like in 5, 10, 20, 30 years from now. These are going to be the consequences that you're going to have to live with. And here's the most important part, is having the person understand at the core of their being, these are the effects on the people that you care for and love in your life. In the cases of players, it can be, these are the effects on your mom and dad. This is what you're putting your mom and dad through with these addiction problems, with this constant partying, with drugs, with alcohol, whatever it is, whatever the negative behavior is, then that's what we're dealing with. And it's a very, very effective strategy because it's what? 200% accountability. Come here, buddy. Cliff, let's go, bud. Let's go. Let's go for a walk. So you're holding up the situation. Stay, bud. You're holding up the situation and you're holding a mirror to what they're doing and the effects it's having on others. So that's why I'm such a huge fan of personal shaming. And most coaches and consultants now, and the snowflakes in the mental health and the industries, everything is medicate, right? Here's a pill to help this, medicate, here, take this, escape, you need this. Anybody with capital letters behind their name, your child or your whatever, you need to take these pills. You need to take these pills and medicate. So really that does the opposite of accountability and shaming, because the person then is completely checked out mentally, and it's the opposite of holding up a mirror to somebody's behavior, and it just pushes it down and ignores it even more. You're not dealing with the source of the problem, okay? You're just treating the effect. And shaming is all about holding up a mirror and saying, okay, this is the cause. This is the cause. We're not interested in the effect. This is the cause. This is why you're behaving in this particular manner. This is why you're choosing this particular negative lifestyle. This is why these behaviors are happening. And that's as rare as an honest politician in mental health and therapy today. But I have always choose to attack the cause, not the effect. And what is the best way to attack a cause, to fix a problem? To fix the cause. Why is this happening? The best way is to hold up a mirror and say, okay, clear is kind. Clear is kind. This is the reason. These are the reasons it's happening. And this is the solution. And these are the consequences if you continue to make these decisions on the people around you. Very powerful, very effective. I've used holding up a mirror and shaming with many of my world builders. I just finished a coaching program with 11 elite, the best of the best world builders, and a month ago. And even with some of them, you're cutting through the bullshit in their lives by holding up a mirror and saying, okay, if you continue on this path, if you continue to choose this road, these decisions, and it can have something, it can have to do with your health, your mental health, their marriage, what they're eating, what they're drinking, their relationship with their children, time man, whatever it is. Here are the effects, the consequences on the people around you in your world that you love, that mean the most to you. And that is a powerful change agent. That is a powerful change agent. When you can say, okay, maybe you don't give a shit about your own health. Maybe you don't give a shit about this or your business or your money or whatever it is. Whatever it is. We all have our own deal. But a powerful change agent is when you show that person, okay, these are the effects your bad behavior is having on your best friend spouse. These are the consequences and effects that your bad behavior is having on your children, your son, your daughter, who are watching everything you do. Here are the effects that are having on, your employees, on your freedom, on your independence. Whatever the bad behavior is, you have a chance to correct it if you can hold a mirror up to somebody and say, this are the real effects on the people that you love. Powerful, powerful stuff. It's almost like you're holding up a crystal ball and saying, you know, you may think that, using, being connected or not, your kids on cell phones and your kids, whatever. But, when the suicide rates in children age 12 to 18 are up 71%. That's successful suicides in our children and teenagers since the China virus, since 2020. Successful suicide attempts have increased by 71%. Think about that for a second. 71%. So we're clearly failing our most important people, our children. My generation is clearly failing. We refuse to hold up a mirror to bad behavior in our youth and in ourselves. And as a result, the result is, with all this namby-pamby, nobody speaks the truth, hold everybody's hand, and more love, we need more love. If love got the job done, there wouldn't be an increase of 71% of our youth taking their lives successfully. That's just the kids that are successful. If love got the job done, we wouldn't be in this mess. So, once again, I'm a huge proponent of personal shaming to elicit personal change. Now, here's the thing that I never have seen from other coaches or consultants, and you never will, is I use shaming personally on myself to change behavior, to change a negative behavior into a positive behavior. I hold a mirror up to Michael McLean's face every day, every week, every month, every year. And I hold up a mirror to my face and I say, and I ask myself the question, okay, when I have a negative behavior. We all have negative behaviors. Some of them develop late in life, some of them develop here, there, whatever, it doesn't make any difference. But I ask myself when I set goals, when I write my mission out, when I look at my vision board, all the things that I want to accomplish. But I also look at things like, okay, what are the consequences if I don't follow my personal rules, as an example? So I have 11 personal rules. These are rules that basically stop me from doing things. They basically stop me cold from misbehaving. I know all my weaknesses. I know all my dark sides. I know all my addictions. I know all the things that don't serve me. So I've made these into 11 personal rules. They started at 3 rules, then I had 5 do not do rules, then I had 7 do not do rules. If I'm challenged by something that's not good for me, I just make a rule, and then it's non-optional behavior. It's unfuckwithable. Very simple. Rules are more powerful than goals. Rules are more powerful than rituals. I can go to a barbecue and I don't have to spend any mental energy on worrying about having a beer or having a whiskey and water because I stopped drinking alcohol. So I don't drink alcohol. Done. Period. Next. It's the same as a vegan going to a barbecue. They don't sit there and go back and forth on whether they're going to have a cheeseburger. They're a vegan. It's part of their identity shift. They don't eat meat. So they don't expend valuable energy and willpower on nonsense like that because it's part of their personal rules. Same for a vegetarian, same for a woman who's pregnant. She doesn't sit there at the party and say, oh, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to have a glass of wine or not. She doesn't have a glass of wine because she's pregnant. Done. Next. So I've used personal shaming on myself more than anybody. And I found it highly effective in changing my negative behaviors, things that I don't like about myself that I want to change and replace. And usually these are the 1 or 2 goals that I'm working on. Something negative, a negative behavior that's not serving me, and I'm replacing it with a positive behavior until it's a lifestyle. I'm doing it for a day, 2 days, 7 days, 14 days, 21 days. Ooh, habit now. 30 days habit for sure. 45 days, we're into the lifestyle territory. It's like brushing my teeth. I don't have to think about it. I don't write it down anymore. It's just part of my life. Okay? So, how do I use shaming, personal shaming, to drive myself forward like never before? Oh, and by the way, this stuff is a hell of a lot more inspirational, motivational, and effective than all this, positive pleasure stuff. Putting pictures up of yachts and boats and houses that you want to build and places you want to travel. That's great. That's pleasure. That will pull you towards those things. Those vision boards, pictures of your goals and your dreams, that stuff is fantastic, very important. But it's not even close to as effective as pain triggers. Pain triggers, where you make a list, and this is how I do it. So let me give you a real life example, because nobody's going to ever fucking teach you this. Ever. Okay? So let me give you a real life example. So, in my home office, at my desk, I have a large color photo of my wife, Krista, and my 9-year-old daughter, Emery. Okay? So that's the centerpiece on the right-hand side of my desk. I sit there and I work every day for 3, 4, 5 hours. And anytime I look at the small wall in front of my desk, there's this beautiful picture of the 2 most important people in my life. My wife, Krista, and my daughter, Emery. Come on, Cliffy. So that's the center point. So that's always there to remind me of what's really important in my life, especially when I'm working hard, putting in hours, building things for other people, consulting. That's there to remind me of what's important. Beside that, on the left-hand side, on the wall, on the left-hand side, I have a list, okay, of goals, a couple of goals. I never work on more than 1 or 2. My rules, I have my rules for living. I have 10 or 11 rules. And then I have a short do not do list. So those are rules that I absolutely, positively don't participate. Like not drinking alcohol is one of them. Some of my other life rules are, eating a high protein diet, drinking a gallon of water, reading 1 hour, minimum 1 hour a day, marketing my business and copywriting for a minimum 60 minutes a day, organizing Wednesday date night. Saturday morning is Emery time. Sunday afternoon is family time. These are the things that I have written down in stone. So these are on my wall, and they're all pleasure, right? I got some nice little pictures up there of countries that we want to go to, the next house we want to build, a picture of the weight room and a guy doing Hindu squats and little things that are positive triggers, pleasure. These are pleasure things. I have a goal set for the amount of money I want to make per day, per week, per month, what my hour is worth financially. So all the stuff that I teach my mastermind members and my world builders. So that's all great. I got a picture of my wife and my daughter, and on the left side on a piece of white paper, I have a list of all these pleasurable things that I want to accomplish, plus my rules and my do not do list. All great stuff. But here's the thing, and where most people, and I teach this in my mastermind program, on the other side, I have the mirror. I have the list, okay, from my soul. I take myself, okay, deep about once every 6 months. where I literally take an hour or two and I sit down with my journal and I have a cup of coffee and I literally sit quietly by myself down by the water. I might take the boat out in the middle of the lake. I might, go sit in my car by the river. I might sit by the pool. Does not matter. Total solitude, no cell phone, nobody, just time with myself. And I'll sit down and I'll make a list of all the consequences of my failure. I'm going to say that again. I write down a list on a big piece of white paper that I put up on the wall. I write down all of the consequences of my failure. If I come up short, if I don't achieve these goals, if I don't achieve that mission every day, if I don't get up and I don't pray, I don't get up and I don't walk, if I don't get up and I don't write, or if I skip, I eat garbage food, I put poison like alcohol in my body, what are the consequences on the people that I love? Not Michael McLean. I've already got that over there. That's the pleasure. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to feel good. I'm going to do this. That's all great. I'm talking about holding a mirror up to Michael McLean and making a list. Okay, if I don't show up as the king of my kingdom, what are the consequences on the people that I love the most? That's what it comes down to. If I don't show up day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year as the best version of me, not perfect, progress, okay, what am I taking away from the people that I love the most? Okay, and that list is from my soul. I make that list. I put myself through hell those hours that I do this. I literally put there and say, okay, if I continue to drink alcohol, this is the effect it will have on my marriage. And this is the effect that my marriage will have on my daughter, Emery. From my soul, these are the consequences. Let's say I don't eat the right foods. I pack on all this weight. I don't walk. What are the consequences on my wife, on my daughter, on my mom, on my dad? All these things. I got a good thing going, but I'm going to shorten it. I'm going to shorten it with poor health choices. I'm going to shorten it by not training, by skipping, by not showing up. What are the consequences on my loved ones when I don't write every day? A lot of you guys, I can't write. I don't write, Michael. Okay, well let me write down the consequences on your wife and your kids and your grandkids because you don't have the discipline to write for 10, 20, 30 minutes a day. You don't have the discipline to sit your ass down and write and copyright and apply the number one concept for your business. Nothing is more important than the marketing of your company. And you can't invest 1% of your time into it, 10 minutes, 7 days a week. You can't do that. Well, then sit down and write down what are the consequences. Well, the consequences of when you don't market and promote and advertise a business means you have no profits. And if you do have profits, they're minuscule, or they're a small percentage of what they could be. So you have to tell your wife, well, the economy, we're in a recession, so we can't do this. So then all of a sudden, gas prices mean something to you. All of a sudden, you can't fly anywhere. All of a sudden, you can't take that dream of a lifetime vacation that you want to Scotland or Ireland or wherever the hell we want to go. And you have to start saying no. You have to start saying no to your best friend and secret weapon. You have to say no to your children. Well, we'll go to Disney later because, the price of airline tickets and it's really expensive and the markets are down. All this 99% stuff. Why? Because you can't commit to doing those few things a day that drive the profits in your business. You think I give a shit okay, about the markets. You think that I care about the price of gas? You think I care about inflation? I could, and I feel bad that this is the situation we've been put in purposely, on purpose, by our so-called leaders. But I have two choices as the king of my domain. I can either spend the next 2, 3, 10 years, okay, worried about wars and the markets being down and the price of gasoline, all on purpose, or I can focus on being the best version of myself. I can do one of two. So what's it going to be? Am I going to focus on scarcity? The markets are down today, and the price of gasoline has never been higher, and Joe Biden and Justine Trudeau and all this other stuff, which I'm aware of on the fringe. I know where I get my information from, but I just refuse to participate in that mindset. So I don't listen ever to the Main Street News. I don't ever listen to the Main Street or read it. I don't participate in any social media. If you think that was poison before, now we're heading into a potential recession. You absolutely positively cannot be listening or consuming any of that garbage, any of that trash. More than ever, you need to be focused on you, the best version of yourself, so you can serve your wife and kids and your employees and the people that you serve. More than ever, you need to stop that stuff, block that stuff. It doesn't come into your world. Politics, TV, movies, fake news, whatever you want to call it. And you need to be reading, you need to be walking, you need to be drinking water, you need to be meditating, you need to be praying, you need to be goal setting, you need to be writing in your journal. These are the things you control. So, on my list of things beside my desk is the list of consequences for anything that I term misbehavior. So I have rules. I have a do not do list. I have personal rules for life. I have 1 or 2 goals, and I have my mission up on that wall. But I also, on the right-hand side, have that big list, and it's big, of all the consequences and all the people that I hurt, that I shortchange in my life when I don't show up day to day. If I skip a walk, or if I eat the wrong foods, or if I drink alcohol, or I don't write, or I don't read, or I don't whatever. When I shortchange myself, that list has the results of who I'm really shortchanging. Okay? What happens if I cut 20 years off my life? What happens if I end up with diabetes? What happens if I end up with heart disease? The consequences of what you drink, what you eat, and your exercise. So I've gone into my soul and looked at those consequences. I have a 9-year-old daughter who needs a father. So I have that listed that I need to be there. I need to control the controllable. I can't control whether I'm going to be here later today, but I can fucking well control my behavior and my thinking so that I give myself the best chance to be here through these formative years. My job is to raise that kid. My job is to teach her. And I can't do that if I'm not going to be here. So those types of things are on my consequence list. Call it your mirror list, call it your shaming list, whatever it is. Why do you think in addictions, most people end up stopping drug use, heavy drug use, people that use, pills, cocaine, heroin, that stuff. My friend tells me this. He knows what he's talking about. He's been in the business for 35 years. He goes, Michael, the only chance I have to change that person, to help that person, he goes, if I can get to them through their kids. He says, people don't give a shit about themselves when they're at that level. They want to die, he told me. Most of them want to die on the street, as an example. He says the guys, the 1% of 1% that he helps turn their life around, you know how he does it. He does it through holding up a mirror to them and saying, this is the consequences your life and your decisions are having on your wife, girlfriend, your 3 kids without a father, that kind of stuff. He says, if I can get to that list, if I can get to the pain list, if I can get to the shaming list, he says, then and only then do I have a chance of real change. And these guys that have, 5 years of sobriety, 10 years of sobriety, they're changing lives, and they used to live on the street as an example. All of these guys have photos of their kids, their wife, their grandchildren. Why is that? That's because they surround themselves with the real inspiration and motivation of how they actually changed and keep changing. And that's all in that consequences of your actions. So that's the most powerful list on my home office wall. It's not my goal. It's not my 2 goals I have up there. It's not even my mission. My mission is to help 1 million men like you, build your own world. I'm a world builder. I help men like you build your own world through my masterminds, through my book, but nothing's more powerful for me than every time. Come on, Clifford, buddy. Nothing is more powerful than when I hold my own feet to the fire, when I hold that mirror up in front of my face and say, you know what? These are the consequences of my poor choices and bad behavior. And everybody has poor choices and bad behavior. That's the point. We're replacing them with things that are better and serve us. This is all stuff that I go into at a really, really advanced level in my masterminds. If you're interested in applying, here you go, bud. If you're interested in applying for my brand new mastermind, it's not like any other mastermind. The live events themselves are completely life changing. We'll do 2 a year, 5-star everything, 5-star speakers, 5-star meals, hotels, drinks. I bring in some of my pro coaches to talk about winning and losing. Plus, I'm in your ear for 50 weeks of the year. Now I do a 90-minute online training. I'm going to do that every Wednesday afternoon, I believe. And we're going to meet twice a year for 2-day closed-door masterminds. Anybody that's attended these in the past, just talk to them. And if you're interested, it's expensive on purpose. It's $50,000, and there's no warranties, no guarantees. There's no payment plans. This is for cleaners, kings, rainmakers, badasses. So it's $50,000 for 12 months, and admittedly, you're going to make that return in the first 30 days, first 60 days. An event, a thing like this doesn't cost money. It's an investment. If you don't have that mindset, then this is definitely not for you. So just by hanging out with the other 18 men, they share their systems, they share their life, how they built their world. I mean, one of those presentations is worth 50 grand. And just leveling up your social circle. We're all the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Well, if you're looking to level up your association after 2 years of the old China virus and to start hanging out, winners aren't losers, eh? Losers aren't winners. Hang out with winners. Well, I got a room full of winners. They don't know anything else but winning. So if you want to be part of that, if you're willing to step out of your comfort zone, then go to badasschampion.com and put your name on the waiting list. It doesn't mean that you qualify or get in. It just means that you're raising your hand and saying, Michael, this is something I might be interested in September. So, badasschampion.com. And you and I'll get on the phone later this summer. We'll see if I'm the coach for you or not. And I'll see if you're a good fit for the program or not. And we'll start in September with 18 champions. And we'll work together. It's the only opportunity you get to work with me one-on-one in a mastermind. It's the only place. I mean, I don't do any one-on-one consulting. I don't do any private work anymore. I won't go to a business. I don't work with clients one-on-one. The only place that you can get access to me this year is through our masterminds, where I'm at the live events, I'm running the live events, I'm with you every week, I'm in your ear, I'm holding you accountable, I'm coaching your ass, I'm kicking your ass is what I'm doing. I'm giving you that mental boot in the ass that you need, that we all need. And like I said many times, I'm now in a $100,000 mastermind. I've been in the top masterminds, Dan Kennedy, Bill Glazier, all of them. And that's because we all need coaches. Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, everybody has coaches. Elon Musk even has 2 personal coaches. So yes, you do need coaches if you're serious. So BadassChampion.com. And in the meantime, sit somewhere quiet, take out a journal, piece of paper, whatever, this weekend or this week, and really sit down and hold a mirror up to your world. Hold a mirror up to your business. Hold a mirror up to your marriage. Hold a mirror up to your relationship with your children. Hold a mirror up to your physical and mental health. And hold a mirror up to the world that you created and you live in right now. And ask yourself, if nothing changes for you in the next 6 months, the next 12 months, the next 3 years, even the next 5 years, if nothing changes for you, will you be okay with that? Will you be okay with that? If your answer is a hard no, apply for my mastermind below. If it's a hard no, apply for my mastermind below. BadassChampion.com. Make that list in the meantime. Put it up where you can see it. Hold a mirror to every part of your life, and then start making the changes necessary to make sure that those things don't happen in your life. Hold up a mirror to the possible consequences if change does not happen, and use that pain as fuel. What have I used pain as? What have I used darkness as? What have I used, people that said I couldn't do something, couldn't accomplish it, people that said I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't tall enough, I wasn't, from the right part of the country, whatever it was. I use that as fuel. That's called using your dark side. You use it as gasoline to drive you forward. You don't ignore that stuff or push it down. You use it to drive yourself forward. You use it as fuel. Your dark side is your fuel. So make a list of fuel and put it up on the wall beside a picture of your wife and kids, the most important people in your life. On that topic, make sure you hug and tell your wife and children that you love them every single day, including today. Before the end of the day, you make sure you look your wife and your children in the eye and tell them they're the most important people in your life, because they are. Everything we need is right in front of us, but we need to learn to appreciate it and recognize it and tell the people that matter the most to us every single day what they mean. That's it. 2 words that changed my life, 2 words that'll change your life. Be relentless.